and it's my first time doing this. So if there's going to be some errors, there's going to be some mistakes. Hey, I'm going to get it done. I'm going to get it out of the way. I just want to do this now. Going to get it started here. Let's see here. I don't have. Let me see here. Okay, here we go. I'm making the comments available. I'm not sure who's joining, who's not joining. But this is just my very first live stream here, and I thought I'd give it a shot. Hey, why not? You only live once, so got to do what you got to do here. I'm going to go ahead and check out the YouTube version here and see what's going on. Got to do what you got to do here. Okay. All right. So make sure, by the way, if you haven't already, give me some thumbs up here and all the comments. Now I'm using something called StreamYard. This is my first time using this. So all the comments from YouTube should be posting over to here. So the more people I get in, I have no idea how many people are in, how many people are not in. But all the comments should be coming forward. So if you have a question, anything at all, just go ahead, leave a comment in there and I'll answer it live here. And basically, I created this just to talk all things football. Let's start here first off by going forward with Andrews football, what's going to happen. Excuse me here. A little indigestion here. Matter of fact, hold on one second here. We're still getting some people in. Hopefully, I'm going to get my coffee because hey man, I tell you something here. I've been a little run down. I've been a little run down. Not feeling great today. Actually, I was not feeling so hot. But hey man, number one, the show must go on, and I'm also really, really excited about talking football with people. So hopefully we get some comments in there. Hopefully we get some thumbs up, and we'll go from there. But I mentioned some changes to Andrews football. Well, first off, I'm all gambling is going over to Patreon. All right, yeah, my nose itches. I promise it's not drugs. All my gambling content's now going to be exclusively on Patreon. I kind of want to get away from the gambling aspect. I just want to talk football. When I originally started this channel, I thought that my niche and the smart thing to do would be to talk about my gambling knowledge. And yeah, man, bummer about the Chiefs. Yeah, it was not a good game, man. It's not a good game at all. But I'll say this. Nothing, and I'm going to talk about the Chiefs a little more here later on, but I still think the two best teams in the AFC are Chiefs and Patriots, and I think that will be the two teams that meet in the AFC. It's kind of funny because the teams that beat Kansas City, both the Texans and the Colts, they play each other Sunday, and I think those two teams are going to beat each other up enough so that Kansas City will be able to get the 2 seed. Even if they don't get the 2 seed. Let's say they're 3rd or 4th seed and they got to play an additional game. I don't think that they'll have a problem going on the road and winning in the playoffs against either Houston or Indianapolis. I really don't fear these teams in the playoffs. All right. So, hey, man. Yeah. By the way, thanks for being my first comment. You broke my cherry, man. So that's awesome. Thanks, brother. But like I was saying, all my gambling is going to be now on Patreon. I'm going to get away from gambling completely. I thought I could prove my knowledge and my expertise by showing I can win money, but I feel like I alienate a lot of people. I feel like when I sit here and I talk point spreads and things like that I'm getting away from just bringing in more fans. And keep in mind, there's a lot of fans that don't know anything about football. I get that, and I still want you to join this channel. So I feel like I kind of alienate some people, but I've been getting a lot of gambling sites following me, and I've been getting a lot of comments. And matter of fact, I'm doing a podcast section. They call it the Moneyline section. And these guys aren't gamblers. They're good people and everything, but like they just don't get it. And they've asked me to do something where I talk about the point spreads, and I've been giving predictions and stuff like that. And I probably should have given them a heads up that all my stuff's going over to Patreon, but I'm doing a little clip for them for their podcasts, and very nice of them to recognize the expertise that I offer, because when you're like me and you can consistently bet on the Chiefs or football in general and win money, I think that's something that not a lot of people can do. Even sites I watch and YouTube channels and sites I follow on social media, a lot of these guys will they make picks, but they don't show that they actually bet. They just, hey, I like so-and-so, and give a special shout out to a girl on Twitter, the Over Under Girl. I like the name. Yeah, it sounds a little dirty, but she posts a lot of comments, and I know she's in Vegas, but I don't know what she's betting on or not betting on. You can watch my video. I got about 4,000 reasons, and I got 2,000 reasons in each hand of how I can make money betting on football. I took the Chiefs. I took the Chiefs in 3 points. I made several videos documenting this. So anyway, long story short, kind of rambling on here. Basically, all my gambling is now going to be on Patreon, and how going forward, I'm going to try some different things. So everything's kind of a work in progress. Let's just talk about the NFL, and I'm going to talk Chiefs and Broncos later on, but I kind of wanted to talk about some of these trades. First off, Jalen Ramsey to the Rams for 2 first-rounders plus a 2024, and people want to say, this guy, or people want to say Jacksonville won or the Rams won. I will say this: the Rams gave up a 2021, not a 2020, a 2021 for Austin Corbett. And I know a lot of you are going, who? This was the 33rd pick in the 2018 draft. Nick Chubb was taken after him at 35. They traded back up to get Nick Chubb. So they liked Corbett more than they liked Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb looks like a Pro Bowl running back. Corbett was a left tackle out of Nevada, and I thought this was a home run of a hit because he was going to go ahead. Yeah, I spit a little bit, so I'm sorry. I thought this was a home run of a pick because he was going to replace Joe Thomas on the left side. This is a very athletic player who started for several years. I saw multiple mock drafts where he was coming in late in the first round. This guy wasn't considered to be, Hall of Fame left tackle, but he was highly athletic. It was a good move for the Cleveland Browns. At least I thought it was. And they moved him up and down the line. They moved him to the guard. They moved him to the center. They tried a lot of different things. And bottom line, they just said, whiff. We took. Here's the thing about the Cleveland Browns. From what I've seen about the Cleveland Browns, I don't think they have a real identity on offense. To tell you the truth, I think they're kind of confused on offense because it's a lot of youth and a lot of talent. I don't think they really have a plan for how they want to attack teams yet, but the Rams do. The Rams, what they want to do, you notice the Rams offense, a lot of jet sweeps, a lot of getting outside, a lot of stretch plays. This is what Austin Corbett excels at. And keep in mind, he's not the best player on the Rams, but he's the best lineman. Oh man, I am so embarrassed. I just had a complete brain freeze here. He played at LSU. He's on the left side. I know he's 37. I'm gonna have to look this up, and I am so embarrassed here. I can't believe I don't know his name off the top of my head, and I'm gonna feel like an idiot here. Andrew Whitworth, and I'm so sorry. I feel like a complete moron, but Andrew Whitworth. I did look this up just now. He's 77 years old. So. I'm exaggerating, but he's not going to play forever. Now, is Austin Corbett going to be a Pro Bowl caliber left tackle? It doesn't matter. You're giving up a 2021 fifth. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So, bottom line, I thought that pick was gold because you get a guy who can help your offensive line, and that's what you need help with. And nobody looks at that because you got Jalen Ramsey. Now, let's talk about the Ramsey trade. Jacksonville, let's just say this. Jacksonville gets 2 late picks because if you go to the chart, and I got the chart up here, the 5th pick, and you can Google NFL trade value chart, by the way, the 5th pick is worth 1,700 points. Right now, the Jacksonville would get the 21st pick in the first round. It's worth 800 points. The 4th round pick, that's let's just say it's 117th, which it would be at this point in time. is worth 60. It's not really going to make or break the trade, but if you go by the trade value chart, it's decent value, especially if they pick up those draft picks late. I mean, if Jacksonville gets the 31st and let's just say the 28th pick in the first rounds the next 2 years, then yeah, the Rams made a really good trade. If Jacksonville gets higher draft picks, one thing that I heard this today, that Miami was tanking to get, I can't pronounce his last name, but Tuavoa. I'm looking over to the right because I got the stream here on the right. That's why I keep looking over to it. So yeah, I'm looking at myself a lot. So I keep hearing that Miami wants to get Tuavoa. They fell in love with the kid and they're trying to tank and get all these draft picks so they can get this kid. That's fine. I don't believe in that. I don't think NFL teams really tank, but let's say you're Jacksonville and you're definitely not sold on Foles. Okay. Let's say you're not sold on Trevor Lawrence in the 2021 draft is going to have a much higher upside than Tua. I mean, if Trevor Lawrence could have came out after his freshman year, he might have been the number one pick in the draft. I think he's going to be that good. I keep hearing that he's going to be rated up there with Andrew Luck and John Elway as the best quarterbacks to come out. Tua Tagovailoa is not. All right, I'm just telling you this right now. I don't care what he does. I don't care if he. I know he's going to interview well. Let's just say he has an awesome combine. There's going to be enough holes in his game, and I've watched him. I'm telling you this right now. Trevor Lawrence, when he comes out, he's going to have a much higher grade, and teams are really going to want him. Jacksonville has 2 picks in the first round. All right, and they got 2 picks. They can actually trade back. Teams position themselves. If you think Miami's trying to position themselves for Tua Tagovailoa, I think that I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing the guy's name. I'm sorry. I get that, but if I'm a team and I don't have a quarterback, I'd be looking at Trevor Lawrence in 2021 because that guy is going to have an extreme upside. I mean, that's the guy I think that you really want to target, not Tagovailoa. And I'm sorry, I can't pronounce his name. So, and again, I don't think NFL teams tank. I don't believe in that, but I keep hearing that Miami, I mean, they switched quarterbacks again. They said Rosen's going to be a starter until the end of the year. And then of course he's not starting Sunday. I'm going to stay the course though. I don't think Miami is going winless. They're going to win a game sometime this year. I just don't know when. Okay. But if you're asking me to pick a winner for the Jalen Ramsey, you can't really tell. I think it's a push. I think both teams ended up winning. Ramsey fits the defense better than Peters, and I'm going to talk about Peters here in just a bit. But is he worth 2 first-round picks? If you get to a Super Bowl with him, sure. I don't think he's that good of a player. I don't think you're getting that much of an upgrade. You're getting a better fit because you gotta realize Wade Phillips, he wants to play bump and run man coverage, and he wants corners to play press. Marcus Peters is not a press corner. Matter of fact, people blasted Bob Sutton. They're not blasting him anymore, but people are blasting Bob Sutton. But Bob Sutton's defense requires bump and run corners, and his best corner, Marcus Peters, is not a bump and run corner. You know, he's it's funny because they say he's a zone corner. I think he's an off-ball man guy, tell you the truth, but in his zone coverage, he's going to do great in Baltimore. I'll talk about this trade in just a bit, but bottom line with the Ramsey pick, it's going to depend on how well they do. Now, if they run the table and go 13-3, then yeah, they did a good job. If they do 13-3 both times, but it's a gutsy move when you're 3-3. They really needed a player. He's going to be an upgrade on the defense. I don't think I'm not even sure he's the top 5 corner, and all the things that he's done, you know, all my back and I don't want to. You know, look, I don't have kids, but, you know, leaving to see your kid get born and missing a game. I don't know if that was the whole thing or not, but I know he missed a lot of time. And, but basically he's had a lot of issues. All right. And is he going to come to LA and all of a sudden be a good boy? I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah, I'm going to drink some more coffee here. Oh man. By the way, I'm having fun here, man. I hope there's a lot of people. I have no idea because I'm looking at my SteamYard. By the way, kudos to SteamYard and my boy Luke G. Give a shout out to Luke G. If you want a good channel follow, check out Luke G. But anyway, yeah. Sorry about that. So I'm using this, and it doesn't say how many people I got in, how many people I don't. I mean, I'm going to tell you something. I can talk all by myself. I could sit here and I could talk 10 minutes on every single NFL team. That's 320 minutes. That's 5.5 hours. I can literally talk 5.5 hours with no comments, nothing. I can just sit here and I can ramble on about football because I love doing it. I love football. I don't follow baseball. I don't follow basketball. I don't follow hockey. I just follow football 365 every single day. I think, ever since, ever since I lived on my own and I had cable TV or I had a smartphone, I follow football one way or another, whether it's a mock draft, news, just looking up Chief stuff. I watch, as a matter of fact, I got the 99 playoff game on DVR. I haven't watched it yet. It's Bills Titans, the famous the Frank Wycheck threw it back to Kevin Dyson, the onside play. Bills have a different name for it. I got the 81. This is the game that changed my life forever. The 81 playoff game between the Chargers and the Dolphins. I think the greatest game ever played. I got that on my DVR. I'm going to watch that again. But I mean, I'm watching old time things. I'm actually watching draft stuff right now. I mean, okay, I'm rambling, going all over the place here. Let's talk about the Marcus Peters trade. The Rams traded for Peters. They got Kenny Young and a 5th-round pick. Kenny Young was a 4th-round pick last year at UCLA. He'll actually help the defense. A lot of people, this isn't a throwaway guy. This is a guy who's actually going to help. A lot of people don't realize this, but the Rams actually, I don't know if he's going to be a starter. I haven't delved that much into it, but he's going to help. So the Rams actually get 2 players and they get rid of one. And so this guy's going to help. And I think the defense could use some help. So this is a guy, he's a smaller guy, he's a fast guy. I think for this defense, a pretty good fit. Wade Phillips, I think, is going to find a way to use this guy. But Marcus Peters, I think, is a great move for the Ravens because Jimmy Smith, he's injured. He's out for the year. You got Marlon Humphrey, who you drafted from Alabama a couple of years ago. I was hoping this guy would be a Chief. I love this kid. I actually remember his dad, Bobby Humphrey, also went to Alabama, played for the Broncos. He was a running back, really good player. Got injured. His career got shortened, but when he was a player for the Broncos, if he would have stayed healthy, he would have been – I think he would have been a really great player. I hate to compare, but he reminded me a lot of Marcus Allen. He was a tall, well, not super tall. He's like 6'1". But the way he ran, he glided between the tackles, a lot like Marcus Allen. Really good player. Career short by injuries, unfortunately. Really talented. Marlon Humphrey's a Pro Bowl caliber corner, excellent corner. So you get Marcus Peters. Now, and I like this move because I did a little digging here in the Ravens. You're 2 games up in that division. And I keep saying this, man, don't turn your quarterback into a running back. I know somebody won fantasy football. I know somebody won their fantasy football matchup because of what I can't believe I'm here. I am on my first live stream. I forget Whitworth's name, and now I forget the Ravens quarterback who I've been dogging, and I am really, really embarrassed about this. You know what? Sometimes I forget names. Okay, I'm sorry. Sometimes I just forget names, and it happens. It happens. Okay, Lamar Jackson. All right, I'm very embarrassed about that, but. I know he had 156 or 157 yards. Maybe it was 158. I don't like that. But here's the deal. The Ravens needed a corner. Peters is going to be a huge upgrade. You have a 2-game lead in that division. But listen to the schedule coming up here. At Seattle, New England at home, at Cincinnati. Well, not that brutal. Houston at home. At the Rams. And I guarantee you Peters has a pick in that game. The 49ers at home. at Buffalo. Those two games, when the schedule first came out, you're thinking, hey, we can win those. Those could be 2 losses. Jets at home. Final 2 games are at Cleveland, and I'm going to call it now. The game against Pittsburgh, the last game of the season, I think it's for the division. I think a division's on the line. I think Pittsburgh really gets better in challenges. I think it's going to be a race between Pittsburgh and Baltimore. I think that last game of the season, they get Pittsburgh at home, is going to be for the North. I'm going to say it now. I like the way Pittsburgh's playing. Cleveland, I think that they're a year away. And hey, listen to this. Seattle at Seattle, New England at home, at Cincinnati, Houston at the Rams. Okay, just those 5. Just those 5. Forget, and okay, after that 5, 49ers and at Buffalo. Okay, let's look at the next 7 games. How many wins they got? 2? Let's say you're a Ravens fan. I mean, how many wins you got there? 2, maybe 3? Okay, you win Cincinnati, maybe Houston at home, maybe. At the Rams. You know Peter's going to have a pick. Let's say you win that one just for fun. 49ers at home and at Buffalo. Okay, so I'm seeing maximum 4 in the next 7. I'm telling you what, Pittsburgh's. You know what? If I think Pittsburgh is going to come back and actually win that division. I think it's going to be a great story. I don't care who the quarterback is. They can call me up. I can play quarterback because what they do is they run the ball. They play physical. Defense is massively improved. But Peters is a good move. I like the pickup for the Ravens, even if it's just for this year. You give up a 5th round pick. Kenny Young, he's not a starter. That quality though. Oh man, hey, thanks, Rooster, man. Hey man, I appreciate the comment. Quality. No, I'm a little confused on what you mean because I'm rambling here a lot. So hopefully it's not that bad. But the quality, who is better, the rookie drafted or the one under him? I thought the backup veteran was better. Okay. Well, I actually was really high on Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph's going to be a starter, but I want to tell you something. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter because the Steelers, they're going old school. What they're doing is they're just running the ball and playing good defense. Thoughts on the Ramsey trade? Hey, man, thanks for joining in. I kind of touched base on this already. My initial reaction on the Ramsey trade is I think it's a push, and the reason why is that long-term Jacksonville, okay, is Nick Foles your guy? All right, is Minshew Magic your guy? Because if he's not in the 2021 draft, all right, where Trevor Lawrence comes out, they got 2 number 1s. They have draft capital already. If that's not your guy, you have draft capital to get Trevor Lawrence, who I don't care about Tua. I can't pronounce the last name. I don't care about that. Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback teams are really going to want. I heard that Miami's tanking because they want to get Tua. Teams are going to want. If I don't believe NFL teams tank, but if you are going to tank, you want Trevor Lawrence in 2021, not Tua. So, wasn't he acting hurt? Yeah, he had an issue with his back, and the thing is with Ramsey is that he helps the defense. But I don't think this is something that all of a sudden you get Ramsey and then you just light up. Now, as far as the trade, it depends on the draft compensation. If you're Jacksonville and you get the 31st and the 28th picks in the first round, then it's probably a win for the Rams. If you look at the draft trade chart, the 5th pick is worth 1,700 points. So it kind of depends on if you want to use it just from a math standpoint. I like what Jacksonville did. If I had to pick a winner, I'd say Jacksonville because Jacksonville is a 500 team with or without Ramsey. And I'll be honest, I don't see the Rams. Don't get me wrong. I think that they'll fix the issues on offense. Remember, they traded for Austin Corbett, who was the Browns are calling it like the worst draft pick in the world. But this is a guy who had a 1st-round grade, and that offense is going to fit him a lot better. If you're wondering where I'm going, the Rams, nobody talked about this. They got Austin Corbett for a 2021 fifth-round pick from the Browns. This was a lineman that in 2018 was the 33rd pick in the draft. They chose Nick Chubb 35th. This was considered a really good pick at the time. This was a guy who was going to be like a plug-and-play left tackle. Well, Andrew Whitworth's going to retire one of these days. That might be the better trade because it's a 2021 fifth. With the Ramsey trade, you have to wait and see. I don't think it transforms the Rams into a Super Bowl team. I really don't. I think that he's going to be a good player. If they can get a deal long-term for him, then yeah. I like the move for Jacksonville better because you're building your team long-term. Plus, if you're not sold on any one of those quarterbacks in 2021, if you want to get Trevor Lawrence, you got 2 first-round picks. With the Dolphins, I think that I've been saying that I thought the Dolphins with their picks were it was going to be great if they liked Rosen, but I don't think they like Rosen. I mean, they said he was going to be the starter, and then all of a sudden he's not. So if you're the Miami Dolphins, you're using 1 or 2 of your first-round picks on a quarterback, and then you got to start all over again. I just think that's a complete mess. I think if Rosen was your guy and you had 3 number 1 picks to build a team around Rosen, then I thought you were a genius. I thought you were in great shape. I mean, look what the Raiders did. Now it's early, but the Raiders are 3-2. All right, they went from 4-12. Now they're 1 game behind. Well, technically 2 because they lost, but they're now 3-2. Believe it or not, right now the Raiders are a playoff team. So you go from 4-12, you get 3 picks, none of them are quarterback. Then now you're a playoff team. And I thought the Dolphins could have done the same thing, but now you got to draft a quarterback. And then use your late 2 picks, Houston and Pittsburgh. Both those teams, it's hard to say. I don't like it. I loved it when Rosen was your quarterback, and you put 3 first-round picks around a guy who's your future quarterback. I love that. But now you got to draft a quarterback, and you got to hope it's a hit. Now I'm told they're in love with Alabama quarterback Tua. I can't pronounce the last name. I've watched him play. There are some things about him I like. There's some things about him I don't like. I think the Dolphins are kind of going to be a confusing story. I'll tell you the truth. I mean, I think they are going to win a game. They're not going winless, but is Brian Flores really the guy? He may not last this year. Unlike all the other coaches, he signed a 5-year deal. Standard is a 4-year deal. He signed a 5-year deal. So I think the Dolphins had a plan that they were, hey, we're not going to be good this year. We're going to get a bunch of draft picks and build through the draft. Smart. Then you get your quarterback. That's also smart. But if you're not sold on Rosen, I mean, here's the deal. What's Rosen's trade value next year? Do you want him to be the backup quarterback? I mean, what do you do? If Rosen shows enough, and I don't know how, that he could be the starting quarterback for the future, I think the Dolphins are great. So, to me, the Dolphins going back and forth with the quarterbacks, I don't like it. If I was the Dolphins, I would pick one, stick with them. And I liked when they came out and they said Rosen's going to be our starter for the rest of the year. Okay, smart. That's a good move. Then it's announced Fitzpatrick's going to be the quarterback next year. So, apparently, it's an old saying in the NFL: if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. So, hopefully, I answered you guys' question, man. Thanks for the great comments. I really appreciate it. It's been a really fun live stream. First, you know what? I'm sitting here and I'm okay. Look, I've been on for 29 minutes. I haven't even talked about the Chiefs yet. I haven't even talked about Thursday night football. Man, this is going to be great. Okay, I'm going to do it right now, man. And by the way, if you haven't already, I'm not looking on the YouTube. I'm only looking on StreamYard. I have no idea if I'm getting thumbs up or not, but if you haven't already, give me a thumbs up. I appreciate it. I'm doing a great job here. I'm nailing this here. Even though I'm rambling a lot, I'm going to drink some more coffee, man. I'm hot, actually, man. I'm hot. I'm drinking coffee anyway because I like coffee. I don't know about receivers. You're talking about the draft, Chiefs. Miami's receivers. Oh God, the one they got from the Chiefs. I'm having a brain freeze on names today. I feel so embarrassed here because normally I'm a lot sharper, but the wide receiver they got from Kansas City, Albert Wilson, I really liked him a lot. I think this is a guy, if he's your third or fourth wide receiver, this is a good thing. But this is a draft that's going to be loaded with wide receivers. If you're talking about the Dolphins, plain and simple here. I'm not exactly sure because I see your comment. I don't know about receivers. I was going to try to segue, but what do you want to talk about? When you say you don't know about receiver, you're talking about the Dolphins. Dolphins are going to draft a receiver. They got multiple draft picks. I mean, there's a lot of good receivers. This is a strong draft for receivers from what I've seen so far. If you're talking about the Chiefs, Sammy Watkins is going to be out, but Tyreek Hill, he's going to play more. That's going to be important. So elaborate on, I don't know about receivers here. Because if you're talking about, DK. Oh man. You know what? I'm glad. Okay. So I got two guys talking about DK Metcalf, and I'm going to go on record. I said this before. I said this in my video, top 5 things I didn't like about the Kansas City Chiefs going into the 2019 season. Instead of Thornhill, they should have took DK Metcalf. Okay, yeah, you're talking about Rosen's receivers. They're going to draft a receiver. Okay, that receiving core could be completely blown up. Devontae Parker may or may not be there. Oh, that's all right, brother. Devontae Parker may or may not be there. Albert Wilson's a good player. Ideally, he's your excuse me. In a perfect situation, he's really your third or fourth wide receiver, but they gave him a lot of money, and he's a pretty good player. I don't think Devontae Parker, he may or may not come back. That's an interest. They're going to draft receivers. See, that was the thing. This is a big wide receiver draft, so you could use that first pick in the draft. You could have got a stud left tackle, or you could trade it down one or two because there are people that like these quarterbacks. See, if Rosen's your quarterback, you build your offense completely through the draft. You get yourself a stud left tackle. You get yourself a stud wide receiver. I haven't seen everything yet, but I would go after a stud tight end or get yourself 2 wide receivers, but being that you're probably going to use that first overall pick on a quarterback, and I'm assuming that they get the first overall pick. When a Cincinnati goes 1-15 and they get the first pick, are they going to go quarterback? Are they going to go left tackle? That'll be an interesting story. But the thing with DK Metcalf is I think the Chiefs should have drafted him. They drafted Thornhill, who's been playing some this year, and he's been a fine player. But there's a guy like that in every single draft. There's not a guy like DK Metcalf in the draft. And the thing is, Watkins isn't going to be on the team next year. Okay. And DK Metcalf, people are going to say, well, Hardman's playing good. DK Metcalf can do everything Hardman. Well, you know what? Maybe not everything because Hardman's a smaller slot guy. But can you imagine a guy who's almost as fast as Tyreek Hill, but he's 6'4", 230? Even if he doesn't know how to run a route tree, even if his hands aren't that good, can you imagine what he can do? Because the receiving core for the Chiefs, it's going to be different next year. You're not going to have Watkins. You want to give Robinson all this money? All he had was a really great. Okay, I'll argue about that a little bit because, he was injured. All right. When he was injured, but when he was playing, he had some really great highlights. He averaged over 20 yards a catch. A.J. Brown was the number one receiver, and the quarterback, and I don't know who it was for Ole Miss, was not a good quarterback. They were doing that zone read offense where he was more of a running back. A.J. Brown, I thought, was the better receiver, and he went first, and I thought that was smart because he went to Tennessee in the second round, and he's, I think, going to be the number one receiver there in Tennessee. DK Metcalf came out as a sophomore. Okay, he was a redshirt sophomore who missed I think over half the season. And all Ole Miss is also on probation, and that's kind of another story. That's the reason why their quarterback, and again, I apologize, his name escapes me, but he was a 5-star quarterback, went to Ole Miss, and think about a 5-star quarterback with DK Metcalf and AJ Brown. They're getting ready to compete with Alabama. At least they think they are, and they're not allowed to play in a bowl game. If I remember right. And I apologize to anybody who's an Ole Miss fan. It was using is either campus funds or it was something with like hookers being sent to the office. It was something sexually related. So if there's some Ole Miss fans that want to hook me up with some information, because I don't follow college football as much, but the quarterback left to go to Michigan. This was a 5-star recruit. Everybody in the country wanted this kid. He actually wasn't playing great there, but I mean, the plan was you have 5-star quarterback with AJ Brown and DK Metcalf, and then DK Metcalf, even though he was injured, he wasn't going to be able to go to a bowl game. Their superstar quarterback left. They had a guy who's more of a runner than a passer, so his statistics weren't great, but he was averaging over 20 yards a catch. Forget the stats. Just if you watch some highlights of him, he looks like a kid playing with grown men. I'm flip-flop that. He looks like a grown man playing with kids. And when let's say you know nothing about scouting, all right? I've never been a scout. Scouting 101, take the guy who looks like he's a grown man playing with kids. And use that for linemen. Use that for running backs. Is there a guy who's just bigger, stronger, faster? Is there a quarterback out there who just looks like he's playing with kids? You know, I mean, that's 101. That's a very basic thing. That's what DK Metcalf looks. He can't really run a route tree. His hands weren't great, but 6'4", 230, 5% body fat, and running a 4.33. Why did the Chiefs not take him with pick 63 instead of a guy like Thornhill? There's a guy like Thornhill comes out of the draft every single year. There's not guys that are 6'4", 230, runs a 4.33, 5% body fat. And keep in mind, DK Metcalf is I want to say uncle is Eric Metcalf. So he has an NFL bloodlines. I think players that got NFL bloodlines do better. I mean, we got a quarterback who's got professional baseball bloodlines that he's done better. NFL players have got NFL bloodlines that are familiar with the game, grew up with the game, I think traditionally do better. I would love to see DK Metcalf in a Chiefs offense. That was me. I thought that was a swing and a miss. And keep in mind, Andy Reid doesn't like playing rookies. Demarcus Robinson, he was drafted in the 4th round. Tyreek Hill was in the 5th round. It's taken him a couple of years. Let me ask. Here's the thing about DK Metcalf and why the Chiefs should have drafted him is that the potential, the ceiling with a guy like Pat Mahomes is unlimited. I mean, this is a guy who could potentially, from physical standpoint, could be something like Calvin Johnson was. Anyway, that's just me rambling, but I thought Chiefs took a big swing and a miss. Don't get me wrong, Thornhill, he may end up being a great player, but so anyway, I'm going to talk Chiefs, Broncos. This is going to be a fun game. I am really excited about this because I kind of like the fact that Denver's looked better because I didn't want to see a game where Denver came in kind of defeated. I want Denver to think that they got a chance to get to the playoffs, and they do. They legitimately have a good chance. And the reason why is that if they win this game, they're 3-4. Kansas City's 4-3, and then they get a game at Arrowhead. All right, but let's be clear. The Chiefs are going to win this game. There's not a lot. You know what? I said the same thing about Houston. I said the same thing about the Colts, but they are going to win this game. And I like the fact that Denver thinks they actually got something to play for. And here's the thing. They got a lot to play for because the difference between 2-4 and 2-5 is huge. Because if you're 2-5 and you're a game behind Kansas City, who's 5-2, and Kansas City's going to get this ship right. Kansas City's going to turn things around. Denver is not. Denver is in all this talk, Vic Fangio was a bust. He's going to get fired. LA is going to get fired too. Oh, wow, this is a great coaching hire. And that's the thing about – that's the reason why you follow Andrews football is because I actually know what I'm talking about. I'm not one of these fanboys who up and down every week. I just go boo, boo, boo. No. I know what I'm talking about. I want Denver to be good because when they lose, it's going to hurt. Hey man, I watched them with Peyton Manning go undefeated against not undefeated. His last year, they lost that game in Denver, but I watched Peyton Manning destroy my Chiefs, go to a couple Super Bowls, and so I'm really excited about a good close game. This is going to be a fun game. And here's the thing with Denver, they're making some adjustments and getting their defense. They're going to build the team kind of old school, which is kind of cool. And that's the way I think that they should build a team. You get a good running game, and they got some holes in the offensive line they're going to fix. All right. In 2020, Drew Lock's going to be the quarterback. Did the Lions get hosed? One Pride 40. I'm going to go out on a limb. Oh yeah, they got okay. Okay, you know, I'm gonna switch gears. Okay, let's talk Lions. I've watched the Lions, and here's the deal with the Lions, and hopefully you're part of the DSA. If you're not, I'm sorry, one Pride 40. But one thing about the Detroit Lions here is that every single game they've lost, and I'm gonna call the Cardinals game a loss. They've had the lead, and they get away from running the football. They lack clock management. They get away from the run. I know they got a new offensive coordinator. He was with Jacksonville, and they fired him from Jacksonville because he wanted to throw the ball too damn much. And you may want to go after a new offensive coordinator this year. And here's the thing. Did the Lions get hosed? Yeah, I thought they got hosed, but I'm really high on the Lions. Matter of fact, one of the things I did was that when I break down the over-unders, and all my gambling is now going to be exclusively on Patreon. But when I got the over-unders, the Detroit Lions at 6.5 was the one team I thought Vegas just whiffed on. Because when I looked at the Detroit Lions, I'm like, man, this is, I think, a 9-10 win team. This is a team that's on the rise. This is not going to be a 6-10 team. I don't care if they're 2-1. Every single loss, they've been in the lead, and they gave up two things. They get away from the run, and they lack clock management. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs if instead of going downfield and scoring fast, if they run the ball and go methodically down the field, they beat Kansas City. They're up, 24-6 in the fourth quarter, and they wanted to run the ball. They wanted to throw the ball, get away from the run. They beat Arizona easy. I had money on that game. They're up in Green Bay. Green Bay's defense isn't that good. I keep telling people this. I know they're 5-1. I know that they think that they're going to the Super Bowl. That defense isn't that good, and Rodgers doesn't look completely comfortable. They scored 23 at home. To answer your question, yeah, they got hosed. But bottom line, if they run the ball, they control the clock, they win that game. I think they're a better team than Green Bay. I think they're listen, I'm going to tell you something. We play Green Bay, I think, in 2 weeks. So we're going to do you a solid. But, yeah, did you get hosed? Yeah, I don't like attacking the refs. Look, bottom line, and I think Matt Patricia said this, you control what you can control. Okay? You control what you can control, and they really need to kind of run the ball more. They're being aggressive. Yeah. I love that. Okay, first quarter, the play action pass going deep. That's brilliant. But here's what you do. You go aggressive so you can run the ball. Late in the game, they were throwing the ball where they should have been running the ball. The Green Bay wasn't stopping your running game. The last drive before you gave Green Bay the ball, I want to say Kerryon Johnson got like 6 yards, and it was back-to-back passes. I hated that. Because bottom line, let's say you run the ball and it doesn't work. And yeah, you're running against a stacked front. All right. Who cares? Because then you go for it when it's 4th and 1. You don't go for it when it's 4th and 4 when there's 5 minutes left in the game, but it was 4th and 1 and you had success. You should have just kept going at it. I didn't like the play calling. The Lions consistently have a problem with clock management and getting away from the run. That's why you're not 5-0. You know what? You could probably say if there's 8 plays, the Lions have 8 plays. Let's say 8 here, 8 visual 8 here. 8 plays different. The Lions could be undefeated. They had Kansas City on the ropes. They run the ball against the Chiefs, they win. They run the ball against the Cardinals. They're up by 18 in the fourth quarter against a rookie quarterback in his first game. They win. They run the ball against Green Bay. They win. That's how you do it. They don't manage the clock well. They get away from the run, and I wouldn't be surprised if during the offseason if they don't make the playoff, don't be surprised they go after another offensive coordinator. I would not be surprised. I'm really high on the Lions. All right, the Lions are the one team. Like I said before, when over-unders came out, that's how I found Luke G. And he's let me come on this show twice. So shout out again to Luke G. Matter of fact, he's the one who kind of suggested this. So I owe a lot of this to Luke G. Matter of fact, after the show, we spent like an hour and a half just talking football and different things. He's trying to help my channel out. He's the kind of one who suggests. Matter of fact, he uses SteamYard, and he also suggested using the upgraded version, which I'm going to start doing. I just, it's like, it costs money. I'm cheap, So anyway. To answer your questions earlier, did the Lions get hosed? Yeah, they got hosed. But here's what they can control to get better. You got to keep running the ball, and you got to use clock management better, because if they do these two things, they're looking at being 5-0 right now and maybe the best team in the NFC. I said a couple weeks ago that I think the Lions are not only going to get in the playoffs, that they're going to win a playoff game. They got to get in, because here's the thing about the NFC. There's going to be a team that's 10-6 that's on the outside looking in. I think 10 is we just got one. Got one. I was kind of going on right. So I don't know what you mean, man, but if you can elaborate, man, I'll answer. But the thing is with the Lions is that they're going to get, if they can get into the playoffs, they're a dangerous team, very dangerous. And I like the way the team is. Oh, I know, no. I know you got an offensive coordinator. I think he may be a one and done guy. I really do. I really do. And the reason why I say this is because Chad O'Hara, and this is going to sound awful. He's now the offensive coordinator in Miami. He was the wide receivers coach in New England. I don't think he keeps his job after this year. Okay. Don't be surprised if he wants to find more guys from New England. The Atlanta Falcons, I mean, that coaching staff is going to blow up. The offensive coordinator there, Dirk Cutter, he was the head coach in Tampa. He actually gave Andy Reid his first coaching job. If Eric Bieniemy leaves, Dirk Cutter may come to Kansas City. Kansas City's been promoting from within, but there may be a chance that Detroit this offseason goes for another offensive coordinator. And the reason why is because you guys run the ball better, you control the clock better, and people want to blame Patricia. I blame the offensive coordinator. They got rid of him in Jacksonville because he wanted to throw the ball all the time, and I see the same problem. And that's the reason why you got a new offensive coordinator in the first place. So I would not be surprised if after the season's over, if they look for a new offensive coordinator. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, it's a one and done type of deal, but you guys are a 500 team right now when you could be 5-0. And the problem is on the offense. You want to blame the refs? I get it. I get it. I think you guys got screwed. I do think you guys got screwed. But bottom line, you're not in that situation in the first place. If you run the ball, control more of the clock, or instead of kicking that field goal, you get a touchdown, then it's game over. That's my opinion. And hey, you never know what's going to happen. But bottom line, I could see the Lions going with the new offensive coordinator, because I think the offense is what cost you from being, if not, I mean, that's the difference between 2-2-1 and 5-0, because you had all three of these games won. All three of these games, you had won. I mean, all three of these games, you're in the lead going into the fourth quarter. Great. Now we got you could go Sean Ryan. You could do it. You could do a lot of different things, but in the common thing with Detroit is that I see a lot of people, and that's the cool thing. And this is the one reason. Again, I'm how many times I congratulated this guy? It's like 5 times. But the thing I keep saying with Luke G is that he didn't blame the refs, and I don't blame the refs. I look at a team that was up 13-0 in the first quarter and that was able to run the ball and not run the ball. And as far as learning a new playbook, yeah, but I mean, there's a different. Let me ask you this here. Let's say you're 9-6-1, which is realistic, but you have a tough game at home versus Minnesota. And if you want to hear my thoughts on the point spread of that game, you got to go to my Patreon. I'm no longer offering gambling for free here, unfortunately. But here's the thing. Let's say you're 9-6-1. All right, and you missed the playoffs. How mad are you? Or are you just going to say, hey, we'll go to next year and Matt Patricia? I want to tell you something. When Matt Patricia, after the year's over, I guarantee you the first thing he's going to say is, hey, going to next season, we want to run the ball, want to be more physical. And I guarantee it's what he's going to say. So going to go Sean Ryan, you can promote from within. I don't have a problem with that. I think that what he could do is because Miami not only got the former defensive coordinator from Bill Belichick, he took a lot of assistance. Wide receiver coach who's been there for 10 years. He's now the offensive coordinator. He's probably going to get the axe. And he might be a guy because they've both been in New England for like 10 years. I agree with you, man. Yeah. Bevel, I didn't like the hire because he threw the ball too much in Jacksonville. All right. I didn't like it. You guys are throwing the ball too damn much. It's funny because you're building the team like an old school team. Then you want to try to throw the ball. I love how you started the game. Here's how you started the game: play action pass. You go deep. You get up 13-0, and when you do the play action and you do it early, you're setting yourself up to run the ball. So what do? They don't run the ball. It drove me nuts because when you have 150 yards passing in the first quarter, you guarantee yourself that you're not going against a 7 and 8 man front. And then instead of taking advantage of that, you try to get cute and you try throwing the ball. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. You should have won that game if you run the ball. And you were set up to run the ball. Green Bay's not that good of a defense. So, yeah, I'm with you. They had the game won. They don't run the ball. They get cute when you have a good defense and you have a good running game. Stick with it. I mean, yeah, you got every right to be mad. I would be mad too. So, I mean, it's simple. And that's why I think, yeah, I'm preaching. And that's why I think that you could go, instead of getting a guy from Jacksonville, getting a guy you work together. Because, how long was he in New England? He was in New England like 10 years. So I could see him going back to that New England pool and getting somebody from that offense. All right. And I love your defense. I'm a Chiefs fan. So I mean, I'm a Chiefs fan. So, I mean, can we borrow your defense for, especially, hey, we got a tough game Thursday. I mean, I would love to have Denver's defense. I think they're fifth. I think seriously, if I named like their best players, all right, you got Von Miller, number one. But I mean, if I started naming the defensive starters for Denver, how many of them are better than our best defensive player? Now I'm not including Chris Jones because I don't think Chris Jones is playing. I haven't heard that. And by the way, on side note here, if I'm Chris Jones, I'm laughing all the way to the bank. I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, you realize that? And it's not going to be from Kansas City. Kansas City can't afford to pay him. So, Yeah. I mean, right. What I love your defense, Jimmy Stoneful defense. Yeah. If you're talking, I started. I sidetracked. Hey, Jimmy, are you talking about the Lions? Or are you talking about Denver? One pride. I know you're talking about the Lions. I got another comment here from Jimmy Stoneful, says defense was fantastic. I wasn't sure if he was talking about your Lions or if he's talking about Denver coming up. But no, I love your defense. You know what the best part is about the Lions defense? It's kind of a work in progress. Trey Flowers, I think, is 26. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I love their defense. You picked a guy, I didn't even know who he was in the second round, the guy from Hawaii, and he's going to get better. I was funny. I was talking to Luke G about this. I have to give him a lot of credit, but you're going to need some corners. It'll be interesting to see what they do in the draft. Luke G called picking TJ Hawkinson like in February, and I wish I would put some money on it because I thought they were going to go offensive line again. But the defense is awesome. The defense is awesome. I think it's top 10 defense. It's funny because in that division, Chicago's defense has been so-so, but I would probably say Chicago's got the best defense. You guys in Minnesota both have top 10 defenses. I love Minnesota's defense at times, but then, they go on the road. And by the way, that game is going to be a ton of fun. I know he had a good game, man. I'm really high on the Lions, period. This is a team that's got a good defense. They're able to run the ball. I think Stafford is I mean, I got a better quarterback in Mahomes, but I didn't even know this until I started talking to Lucci. People in Detroit don't like Matthew Stafford. I am blown away by this. You get a guy who plays. Last time he missed a game. I think it was his rookie year, maybe it was second year. Remember he had that shootout against Cleveland where he separates his shoulder and then he can't move his arm, but he wants to go back in so he can throw the winning 2-point conversion. I wanted to buy a Stafford jersey right then and there, and look at the game he had, and I understand, but you have a good quarterback. Oh, yeah. Well, okay. Corners in the draft, and I'm stealing this from Luke G. Slay is either going to be a free agent after the season or in 2020. I think Coleman's due to be a free agent. So, and again, I'm stealing some of the stuff from Luke G because we talked because I thought he would go linebacker in the draft. And he's like, nah. We're going to take corners because we got a lot of free agents. And another thing about taking a corner is that you have some young, good quarterbacks, and of course you have Rodgers. So he gets criticized for me. It's funny. I would have never guessed that. They had a thing in the NFL about it was on the NFL Network. It was like top 10 trash talkers, and Stafford was number one. I knew we were going to talk Stafford. I would have went ahead and put up the list and said it, but I had no idea. But I don't know. I don't know how he's not being an effective leader. His story. I don't know how much this affects or doesn't affect, but I know if you're familiar, his wife had brain cancer, like almost died or something like that, or brain tumor. I don't know the specifics behind the story, but stood by his wife in the off season. Dude. I don't know how the other players respond, but I know if I had a guy and his wife like almost died and he's there practicing every day and the guy doesn't miss a game. I don't get that at all. Edge rushers, I could see that. I could see that. Yeah. I love Stafford. He was a guy that before we got Mahomes, I would have traded Alex Smith for him and a couple number ones. People in Kansas City before Mahomes came here would have killed for Matthew Stafford. And I think Alex Smith was a much better quarterback than people thought. Case in point, the Redskins were winning the NFC East last year with Alex Smith. They were 6-3. They were number one. They were in the lead in the NFC East. He gets hurt. They've won one game since. They were 6-3, and now they've not won two games. Okay, they beat Miami. So, so yeah, I love that. I love Matthew Stafford, and I loved Alex Smith, but I would have traded Alex Smith for Matthew Stafford. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. So, no. Man, that's kind of cool. I got some Lions fans here, man. That's awesome. I've been very high on the Lions. I'm not a fan. I'm going to say this right now. I'm not a fan, but when I looked at the over-unders just from pure math standpoint, I looked at them and I'm like 6.5. This doesn't make sense. This is the one team out of all of them I was kind of like, eh. And I'm not showing you the exact numbers here, but I got this bet slip from Superbook in Westgate. I got Chiefs over 10.5. I'm not showing you how much I wagered, but I would have took the Lions over 6.5, but the amount was negative 150, so I had to wager 150 to win 100. I tried to do a parlay, and I didn't know they didn't let you do season parlays. So different topic, different day, but yeah, man. Could Lions go edge rusher? They could. I kind of think that they will, depending on what free agency brings. Let's see what they do in free agency, because if they get corners, they get Marcus Peters. You got the Lions. Yeah, that's a smart move. Lions over 6.5 is the smartest move you could make. I just didn't like negative 150. If I'm telling you right now, if I would have got 140, I would have put action on it. But I didn't want to wager 150 to win 100. Plus, I also put some extra betting units on Kansas City and 3 at Jacksonville, because I got 10 betting units on Kansas City over 10.5. But I got 21 Chiefs and 3 for that season opener, and of course I collected. But yeah, if you got action on the line, that is the smartest bet. I'm curious because you've been following me for a while. I wonder did you get that from me? You're a smart guy. You probably did your own research. 6.5. That was a Vegas error, putting the Lions at 6.5. And you could say, well, they're 2-2-1. They should be 5-0. Yeah. They had my Chiefs beat. It's a smart move, man. Number one rule to gambling is try not to bet with your heart. Don't bet on your team. But hey, man, I'm glad I did, because I'm not a Lions fan, but I'm like 6.5. This to me looks like a 9-10 win team, and I have no dog in the fight. No dog. Out of all 32 teams, I think Vegas messed up on the Lions, and here's why. They ended the season strong. And I did a video on this. You can watch it if you want, but you got over 7 plus. Wow, I would took that. You got plus one. You got plus 120. Man, wow. Your stuff, man. I would have took that in a heartbeat. That is a great bet. You're going to collect. You're going to collect on that. That is a very smart wager. That was okay. Yeah, it opened at 6.5. It actually jumped up to 7 and went back down to 6.5. But no, that was a very, 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 very smart bet. That's much. I'll tell you what. That's a smarter bet than my 10.5 on the Chiefs. That is a much better bet. I only reason I didn't put action on 6.5 was because I got negative 150 at Westgate, and I did all my gambling at Westgate. There's a website, and I'm drawing a blank on what it is now. I want to say it's Vegas Insiders. So yeah, so the Vegas Insiders, I didn't put action down, so I only put action down at Westgate. And that's been kind of a common theme. It's the largest sports book. Plus, when I've won in the past, they've given me free rooms, which is kind of cool. So, Do I think the Lions are young and going through growing pains? I think they're young. I don't really, considering what they're doing, growing pains as much as they're a young team. You know what? I'm gonna say yes and no. I think they're there. I originally had them about a 9-win team on the fence, maybe outside looking in. And I think they could be on the outside looking in, but they really don't need too much to be a good team. I'll say this, that the Lions get into the playoffs, whoever they play against better watch out, because, I mean, if they're going to get in, I mean, keep in mind, Green Bay's going to play some tough games. The next 3 games are against 3 AFC West opponents. I wouldn't be surprised they lose at least 2. They're going to lose to my Chiefs. I'm going to tell you that right now. We play them in Lambeau. We're going to beat Green Bay. If they somehow win that division, they're going to have a home game, and I think that city is just going to be nuts. I think the crowd is going to be nuts. I was really impressed with how they were against the Chiefs, and I think it'll even be more electric. I could see the fans just really, really getting behind this team. But the thing is with the Lions is that I think they're there. I just think that I don't like the offensive play calling. But I mean, you've been in the lead in the fourth quarter for all 3 losses. I'm calling that Cardinals game a loss. Okay, so in that division's going to beat each other up a little bit. Hey, listen, go if you want my idea on how to bet the Lions game, you got to go to my Patreon. I'm sorry about that, but I mean, that's going to be a fun game. Green Bay's going against some tough teams. The Bears, Bears got the Saints. That's going to be a tough one. The Saints, Trubisky apparently is going to play with a harness on his left arm. I can see all 3 of these teams in your division going down, but the Lions keep playing like they're playing and just learn how to manage the clock and run the ball better. They're there. They can compete. I think the best team in that division in NFC. I think the best team in the NFC is the Saints. All right. And I also love what the 49ers are doing. But if you guys can get into the playoffs, you're as dangerous as anybody. You really are. I mean, I want to say, I think instead of growing pains, I just don't like the way that your guys are calling plays. I blame the offensive coordinator. I think the offensive coordinator cost you guys 2.5 games or 3, depending on how you look at it. You really easily could be 5-0. This is a dangerous team. If I'm in the NFC, I don't want to play the Detroit Lions. It's kind of funny because I know. I listened as a Chiefs fan before Mahomes. We got no media attention. So now all of a sudden, we get Mahomes. Now we're getting media attention. You guys get some bad calls on Monday Night Football. Now you're getting media attention. So you're getting attention for the first time. It could be an advantage. It could be an advantage because I think more and more teams are going to look at the Detroit Lions. I'll tell you what. Let me ask you this here. What if for the rest of the year the Lions get calls going for them instead of against them? The Lions are a dangerous team, man. They're a very dangerous team, and that division's really fun because I'm not buying into 5-1 Packers. I'm just not. Minnesota's got a lot of talent, but they can't win on the road. Like I said, if you want to know how I feel about that game as far as action, you got to go to my Patreon. Chicago, Trubisky looks like he really regressed. Who gets wild card spots for the playoffs? Right now, today, it depends on how the Rams do, but the NFC West is getting 1. Today, this is going to sound a little crazy, and I'm assuming you're talking NFC, but I'll do AFC also. NFC, I think the Niners get a wild card. And you're going to go, I know what you're thinking. Oh, they're 5-0. I get it. I think Seattle wins that division. Whoever doesn't is getting a playoff spot. The Rams are 3-3. And if they won that game, I would have said Rams and Niners get both playoff spots because the NFC North is going to beat each other up. But The NFC West, whoever wins that division, second place team, I think is going to get a wild card, because right now you got 5-0 team, a 5-1 team, and the 3-3 Rams, which have got even without Ramsey. Let's say they kept Peters and didn't have Ramsey, I would still say they're a threat to make the wild card. Since the Rams are 3-3, I think there's going to be a 10-6 team in the NFC, only being outside looking in. And I think it could be one of those NFC North teams. I think a team like Green Bay or Detroit is going to finish. I can see Detroit going 9-6-1 and getting on the outside looking in. I could see that. I could completely see that happening. NFC West is going to get 1, maybe 2 spots, and I could see a team from the NFC North. I could see a team from the NFC North. The winner of the NFC East only getting 1. I'm going to hold off on Carolina. I think if they bring back Cam, okay. Well, hold on. I'll finish here. Hey, well, let me ask you this, the legend. If you could put a comment in real fast, you want AFC or just the NFC? I'm holding off on Carolina getting a wild card right now. I think the West will get 1, maybe 2. The other one I think would be in the NFC North. I'm not buying the Packers, but I could see the Packers finishing second in that division with 11-5. So that's the thing. If you want me to do AFC, I'll knock out the AFC real fast for you. And why are my Chiefs struggling to beat man coverage? Well, in Spags' defense, we really don't want to play a lot of man. It's based on zone. Spags' defense is based on it's the old race car defense. And what they did is that in this offseason, they had Chris Jones as a pass rusher, and then they went ahead and we got this guy K-Pass who's been playing more. Okay, you're a Hawks fan. All right. Ooh, man. Oh, I'm sorry, man. I thought you were when it said Hawks. I was thinking. I don't know why, man. My apologies, man. Forgive me. I was thinking Atlanta because I had a bunch of Atlanta fans. I think Seattle wins that division. I think Seattle wins the division. I think the Niners are in a spot, and then I don't know if the Rams are going to be able to turn it around enough. I could see them finishing 10-6 and being on the outside looking in. But, yeah, I think the Hawks win the division. I think San Francisco gets a wild card. The other wild card could be the Rams. It could be the Panthers. It could be that whole NFC North's interesting. But why are my Chiefs – the race car defense is designed that what they want to do, the whole plan for the Kansas City Chiefs was to get in shootouts and then having the race car defense. If you know your history, the Giants, both times they beat the Patriots – was when Steve Spagnuolo was the defensive coordinator for the Giants. And the only competition we really have in the AFC is the New England Patriots. Yes, I know we lost 2 straight AFC teams, but we're not fearing them. I know we lost to them, but let me ask you this. If you're a Houston fan or you're a Colts fan and you have the Chiefs coming in, are you going in the playoffs, are you going, yeah, we got this? No, you're not. And you know you'd lose. What the defense is designed about is getting 4 defensive ends and originally Chris Jones. So you'd have 3 defensive ends and just constant pressure on the quarterback. And we don't have that because Frank Clark is and Chiefs fans are blasting Frank Clark left and right. This isn't a Frank Clark problem. This is a Brett Veach. Brett Veach is the Chiefs general manager. He really screwed this up. We gave up a number 1 and a number 2 for Frank Clark. But we traded D Ford, who's helping San Francisco. San Francisco may have the best defense in the NFC. I would argue the Saints, but they have the best defensive line in football. And the reason why I say that, Solomon Thomas, he was the number 3 pick overall in the draft. He just comes in every now and then. And he's making plays. That defensive line is deep. They are fast. So D Ford, they gave up a 2020 second-round pick to Kansas City for D Ford, but we give up a 1 and a 2 for Frank Clark. And D Ford statistically had a better year. Chiefs fans got really mad at me because I said you can make a case that D Ford's a better player. And that's my quote. But then they turn around, they spun it, and they're like, "No, you said Frank Clark, D Ford's a better player. He had better stats." We're now Spags runs a 4-3. We were in a 3-4 for a long time, and what we did is we got rid of our two outside linebackers, Justin Houston and D Ford, who are outside linebackers. And it's funny, both of them play 4-3 defensive ends now, and they're playing good football, both of them. And Frank's not playing very well. No, he's not playing very well. So we're in a 4-3. We bring in Frank Clark. He had a strip. He had a forced fumble. But here's the thing about Seattle, and man, the legend, you tell me, because the Seattle Seahawks didn't have a good defense because of Frank Clark. He was a byproduct for that. He's a byproduct. Chiefs fans hate this guy. And here's the thing, he's an okay player, but the Seattle Seahawks weren't a great defense because of Frank Clark. They had a good defense, and he was a byproduct of it. The Chiefs' best defensive player is Chris Jones. He's out, and he's mad because they gave $100 million to Frank Clark where he deserved $100 million. So him and his agent are laughing right now because if Chris Jones plays in that game against Houston, we win that game. Frank Clark's playing. He's right now. He's just a guy. When Chris Jones comes back, then yeah. But we're adapting to this defense because the defense that Steve Spagnuolo wants to do is that we want to get in shootouts, we want to force you to pass, and then we want to have Frank Clark, Chris Jones, and then we got a couple defensive ends. I can't pronounce his name. Everybody calls him K-Pass here. He's been playing a lot. He's physically a gifted player. We had this guy. I know you would. Who wouldn't? Chris Jones is going to get a lot of money from somebody, and it's not going to be Kansas City. And we gave that money to Frank Clark, and it's a huge mistake. Here's the thing: we didn't even need to give up a first and a second for Frank Clark. Seattle had to get rid of him. They didn't want him. We didn't need to give up a first and a second. You didn't need to give him $100 million. You gave up way too much in the draft. You gave them way too much money. And that's why Chiefs fans are mad, is they thought they were getting a $105 million player. Chris Jones would love being in Detroit because Detroit uses kind of a confusing defense, and he would work perfect with Trey Flowers. I love Chris Jones. When we drafted him, I thought it was a home run because this is a guy that a lot of people thought should have gone in the first round. We traded up in the second round to get him. I watched him at Mississippi State, and if you watched earlier what I was talking about, how do you determine if a guy is a good player? It's scouting 101. If a guy looks like a grown man playing with kids, so that's what Chris Jones looked like in college. Watch him at Mississippi State. He looks like a grown man playing with boys. He's just smacking people around, but then he takes plays off every once in a while, and that's why he slid in the second round. But he's been a beast here in Kansas City, but he wanted a long-term deal. He held out for a while. Then he decided to come back in, and now he's banged up, and he's like, you know what? Hey, you guys gave all that money to Frank Clark. Let him handle it. Oh, God, he would be perfect in Detroit. So your hand – oh, yeah. I mean, dude, it's funny because I did a video, and I can't remember if it was the Houston Texans or the Rams, but I actually said Watt was a better player than Aaron Donald, and I am wrong. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm looking at maybe two of the best defensive linemen to ever played a game in Aaron Donald and J.J. Watt. But Aaron Donald, I think, is the best defensive player in football, period. And watching him play is just amazing. J.J. Watt, I'm kind of surprised. And listen, man, the Legend 27, you tell me, what's Clowney doing? Because I haven't heard too much. I know he had a touchdown, but that's the thing I wish Kansas City would have done. Instead of getting Frank Clark, I wish we would have gave up we had 2 second-round picks. We could have gave one of them because you got him from Houston for a third. We could have given up a second and got Clowney. I mean, But Chris Jones, yeah, man, I don't think he's playing against Denver, and I don't think it's going to matter. But yeah, him and his agent are all they got to do is say, hey, look, without Chris Jones, you guys are giving up almost 200 yards a game. So I mean, here's a guy who set an NFL record for consecutive games with the sack, plus he can play to run. Chris Jones, I think is 25. I think he's 25. I'm just without looking it up, but I think he's 25. He's a guy that the Chiefs should have built the defense around Chris Jones, and I thought that then when they were switching to Spagnuolo defense, that's exactly what they were going to do, and then they gave Frank Clark $100 million, and I thought that was a big mistake because he's a good player. It's just Chris Jones is better. When Chris Jones comes back, Chris Jones and Frank Clark are going to both be pretty good. I think the defensive line is going to be pretty good. And listen, man, One Pride 40, he's going to be a free agent soon. The Chiefs may end up trying to trade him. And you know what? If I'm the Detroit Lions, I would love to have this guy because he played really well in a 3-4. He's excelling in a 4-3, even though he's missed a few games. He's going to be pretty good. No, I was surprised Daniels wasn't that good. But yeah, if you guys get Chris Jones in Detroit, oh wow, that would be a lot of fun to watch. He's really one of my favorite players, and he's not going to be a Chief. But when he comes back, him and Frank Clark, this is why Kansas City Chiefs are the second best team in the AFC, is because when Chris Jones comes back, and he is going to come back, he's playing for a contract. He's taking a couple weeks off, and him and his agent are just saying, hey, look what Chiefs are doing without my guy. You gave $100 million in your defense. We could have Frank Clark. You put Chris Jones in and you take out Frank Clark. You're not really losing that much, but you take off Chris Jones and you have Frank Clark, you lose 2 straight. And that's bottom line. That Chris Jones is the reason why. I know. And that's the thing, is that this guy plays in a 3. Here's the thing about Detroit is you guys are playing a hybrid 3-4-4-3, and it's a very creative defense, which I really, really like. And adding a guy like Chris Jones would just be awesome. But you're of the players that you mentioned here, you got Flowers, Hand, Robinson, Jones. Chris Jones not there yet, but Bryant and Snacks. You lose one, you got to lose one of those guys, maybe even 2. You may just want to keep building around Alabama defensive linemen. I don't know. I mean, there's going to be another one coming out in the draft. You may want to go that route instead. But Chris Jones in Detroit would be awesome. So yeah, but I'm gonna kind of segue, because I'm gonna wrap this up here. I'm gonna segue into Thursday Night Football. Even though Chris Jones isn't playing, the Chiefs are going to hopefully get the win. If you want to know how I would bet this game, you got to go to my Patreon. But when they get Chris Jones and Frank Clark, and then they iron out, because they're kind of rotating players on the other side. We drafted the guy Nadi last year. He doesn't really fit into this defense. They were hoping he was going to be a run stuffer. He's really not. We also got Kalen Sanders. He was a 3rd-round pick. So he's going to get some growth, and he's athletic. It just he played quite a bit yesterday, and he looked awful. And Houston does not have a good offensive line. So once we get our defensive line up and going, Honey Badgers. Now I was joking around that he was playing like a regular Badger. Yeah, you're losing Daniels, One Pride 40. Yeah, of course you're losing Daniels. I mean, I think he gave him $8 million, and I don't even think he's playing for you guys. I mean, I thought he was going to be a huge addition, and he's really not. It's kind of a smart move by Green Bay, a surprisingly good move, because I really like that guy. I was actually hoping he would come here to Kansas City, but doesn't really fit the defense that we're running here. Chris Jones and Frank Clark do. And once we get Chris Jones back, we're going to prove that we're, unfortunately, the second best team in the AFC. I mean, even when we were 4-0, I thought New England was better. But do I think it's Kansas City and New England in the AFC Championship? Yes. It's just it's a hiccup. It's some problems with the offensive line, problems with the defensive line. And hey, listen, there. I'm going to wrap this up here in just a minute. But One Pride 40, man, it's been great talking with you, man. Yeah, you're going to lose Daniels. Resign Robinson. That's a smart move. I don't know if you mentioned in your comments here. Did you mention Hand? Did you mention Hand in here? Oh, this is my first comment here. Oh man, this is kind of cool. This is my first time doing this here. But Hand was a great pick because this is the number one player coming out of high school, and he really didn't flourish that much at Alabama. They were kind of disappointed in him, and he's played really well for you guys. I like what Detroit's doing with their defense. I really like what Detroit's doing with their defense. So once the Chiefs get Chris Jones back into the fold, the Chiefs, I still think, are the second best team in the AFC. And if you want to know how I would bet the Chiefs Broncos game, I do have thoughts on that. But you got to go to my Patreon for that. So listen, man. Hey, listen, for everybody that joined, I want to thank you very much. If you're a subscriber to Andrews Football, you already know you're one of the greatest people on planet Earth. All your wildest dreams are going to come true. But if you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to give me a thumbs out. Golden Rooster. Chris Jones has been out. He left the Colts game with an injury, and he was out against Houston. Okay, he didn't play in the Houston game. If he plays against Houston, we win that game. Yeah, that the reason why the Chiefs are 4-2 instead of 6-0 is Chris Jones. So, hey, legend, man, thanks, brother. I really appreciate it here. Hey, we got some games against – I know we played the 49ers late, so don't worry. We want to help you out here. And also just a little sneak preview. If you didn't watch me earlier in the season, I got your Seahawks winning the West. So, yeah, Golden Rooster, he is injured. I don't believe he's going to play. Yeah, it's Thursday night. Yeah, Thursday night. Yeah, we play Thursday night against Denver. It's going to be a great game. The last couple games in Denver have just been wild games. Wild games. And if you want to know how to bet those games, you got to go to my Patreon. But in order to get that exclusive video, you got to go ahead and send a request before midnight. That's my stipulation is that, Wednesday midnight, right after we get done, I'm going to check my Patreon and see if somebody wants action on that game. But if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, go ahead and subscribe. It's guaranteed to make all your wildest dreams come true. Hey, man, we are going to beat the Niners, man. So listen, hey, guys, thank you for all the comments. Hopefully I got a ton of thumbs up. I haven't even gone and checked, so hopefully I got like a couple thousand thumbs up. But if you haven't already, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And, hey, man, don't forget, I also have my preview show Friday. So, man, hey, I'll see you guys later.